Morning guys. Conversation is the topic of the day. Conversations are imperative, not just in business and in sales, but in life. We have them every day and they have different levels of importance. So I thought I'd share some of my tips just on conversations, and especially with the introduction part of a conversation. I feel that that's the most important and most imperative part. It's like the analogy of building a house. If the foundations aren't right, the house is going to crumble. It's the exact same with the conversation. The introduction is important. So I'm just going to share a few of my tips and a few things that work for me on building conversations. So an example is going to be from an initial stage of an introduction when we're knocking on somebody's door at a residential sale. G'day mate, how are you today? You well? My name's Lewis. I'm just running around with the Stroke Foundation today. Can I just ask, this basketball hoop outside, are you the NBA player? You been practicing today? Nah, I'm only joking. Is it your son or your daughter who's the next Michael Jordan? It's your son. Ah, awesome. How old is he? He's 16. Okay, so he's on adolescence. Must be a funny age, mate. Now I've got a few nephews back home as well myself, so I know what it's like helping to raise kids, mate. So you're doing a good job. Cool. So I'm just gonna break that down now, guys. Just what I did, basics there. So a brief introduction, a smile and a wave. Introduce where I was from and what I was doing. But then I used a dialogue shift. So I changed the topic straight away from the stroke to something that was outside the house and it was a little bit unique. So I shifted the dialogue to his family. And obviously there was a bit of a joke in there about him being the basketball player, which was a nice way to break the ice. And then I asked him what you call a leading or alternate question. So I said, is it your son or your daughter who's the next Michael Jordan for the basketball player? So what I've done there was incorporate the joke, but it was also a leading question. So your son or your daughter. And then after that was a compliment. Oh, great. So he's 16, cool. And then another follow up with a bit of a joke in there about them being adolescent. So depending on the response, you can use statement, you can use a joke, or you can, and then follow up with a question. So statement, joke, and then immediate question. So when they respond, statement, joke, and then a question straight after. If you leave the gaps too long in between those, you're going to leave room for the customer to then start asking you things, and then you're going to be on the back foot and answering questions. So you want to make sure that the time between each of them is nice and succinct and quick. Cool. Following on from that, guys, continue with the same process. So you want to do compliment, jokes, and statements. So compliment, joke, or statement, and then question straight after. So another example will be, after you've done that, it's a beautiful house you have here, John. Did you raise the kids here, or are you from Queensland originally? So you're giving them a compliment by saying you've got a beautiful house, and then you're saying, are you from Queensland? So that opens another avenue for him to tell you where he's from. Oh, you're from Sydney? Oh, nice. So who did you go for in the state of origin? Did you go for Sydney or New South Wales? And then the conversation shifted again with another question about where he was from, then leads into sports. So compliment, statement, or joke, followed by an immediate question, is a great way that we can shift the dialogue to learn about that person that you're with and move the conversation on, so that ultimately they feel comfortable around you and that they trust you, and then eventually you can then go into the topic of what you were originally here for. Awesome.